Welcome back to Jack of All Trades, a guidance channel for young men. Today we're going to talk about the importance of reading, why it's important for you to read books, why it's important for you to make that part of your daily routine. He that loves reading has everything within his reach. And that's kind of the moral of this video, is that it is so important to read. There's so much knowledge out there. There's so much research other people have done that you'll probably never have a chance to do in your life. You can gain so much knowledge by simply sitting down, taking the time, and reading. You can learn about any topic in the world that interests you. I mean, literally anything. If you have a topic in the world and that topic interests you, there's books out there on it. You can really learn anything. No matter what it is, you can learn about that thing. And so make it a daily habit. If you read 10 pages a day, at the end of the month, you've probably read one book. If you make that a habit, you read 12 books a year, your life will be vastly different in a couple of years, especially if you're reading books that improve you as a person. Self-help type books, leadership type books, the type of books that will help you learn how to become a better person and improve yourself and use that to make yourself better. Books are the quietest and most constant of friends. They are the most accessible and wisest of counselors and the most patient of teachers. And that's what it is with a book. You can get a book and you can learn, and you can do it on your own time. You're not in a classroom. You're not having somebody who's having to spend time trying to teach you something. You can sit down and go as fast or as slow as whatever works for you. You can, while you're reading, you can take notes in the book. You can take notes outside of the book. You can go through and read a book. I've read books before where I'm like, man, that was a great book. I'm not sure I really absorbed it all. And I went right back through and I read the book again. And you could do those types of things. And that's what's wonderful about reading, is it's very personalized. You find what interests you, and what interests you, I guarantee you, interests other people, and they've written about it. And you can go read those books. You can go gain that knowledge. You can go gain that knowledge of all that research that they've done. And in the time of a month, you can read and gain all the knowledge of maybe potentially years and years and years of research. And that's really powerful. And if you keep doing that, if you make that a habit, and like I said, 10 pages a day means you probably read about a book a month. By the end of a year, you've read 12 books. The amount of knowledge that can be contained in those books that you've gained. And there's books about all kinds of things, about how to deal with difficult people, about how to be a better person, about how to be a better leader, about, how to do better in business, how to start your own business. I mean, there's so many books out there that can really set you on the right path. So make reading a daily habit. I know it's not a cool, trendy thing. It's not a meme. It's not a fun show on Netflix, but reading is extremely important, and it's also really good for you. The best advice I ever got was that knowledge is power and to keep reading. And knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. And how do you get that knowledge? Literally, to me, the best way is to read, because you can always do it. Yeah, when you're a kid and you're coming up through school, you're gaining knowledge because you're in school and all that, but that's a very small portion of your life. There'd be a very long portion of your life when you're not in school. And then it's really up to you. Who do you want to be? Do you want to improve yourself? And if you want to improve yourself, reading is one of the best ways that you can do that. Get a book, sit down, read 10 pages a day, write in that book, take notes, think about it, absorb it, come back the next day and do the same thing. To me, the best habit, what I try to do is I try to get up early in the morning and work out. And then when I'm done working out and I'm plenty awake and I come downstairs, I get a cup of coffee, I sit down and I read a book. And that is literally the best part of my day. The house is quiet, nothing's going on, and I can sit down with a book that interests me and just page through it and slowly read through it and absorb what's in it. I feel like I'm improving myself, I'm becoming a better person, I'm learning things, and those are all things that you can do too, so I would highly encourage that. Reading is to the mind what exercise is to the body. And I've already made a video about how important it is to exercise, how important specifically it is for physical strength to actually go and lift weights and try to be strong, especially as a young man. Reading is exactly what physical fitness is to the body. Reading is that to the mind. And that's why it's so important to read. It's so important to read things that you don't know about, to go outside of your comfort zone, and it expands your mind and it helps to keep you, when you're in school and you're always learning, your brain's kind of in that environment, and so it learns well. But as you get older, and I think as you get away from that, sometimes people have a harder time learning new things and people kind of get set in their ways. And reading is a great way to break out of that. And reading those books that will make you a better person, those self-help books, there's just a lot of importance in that. It's really good for your brain. And I think long-term, you'll find it's very good for you as a person. Employ your time in improving yourself by other men's writings, so that you shall come easily by what others have labored for. And that's what I'm talking about. There's books where people do years and years of research. I'm reading Joan of Arc by Mark Twain, and I think that was like a decade of research of his life, where he researched it and learned all these things about Joan of Arc, and then he put it in a book, and I'm going to read it in a month. And in a month, I'm going to gain all that knowledge that took him a decade. And you can do that with so many things, so many, especially self-help books. Those authors have put a lot of work, a lot of time reading articles, reading about studies. They take all that knowledge, they put it down in a book, and in 1 month you can gain that knowledge. I mean, there is power in that, and you can do that over and over and over and over, and it will make you a better person. It will make you smarter. It will make you a more interesting person as well. Some of the most interesting people I've ever met are people that are well read, because they can talk about just about any subject. You're in a conversation and something comes up, they're able to say, oh, I read a book about that, and I find that really interesting, and here's kind of my thoughts, and here's what I think about, that, or here, oh, I read about this one story and it's really interesting. Those people are super interesting. And I always notice the people who are not well read, and that's been me before at times, a lot of times they just can't even contribute. Oh, they're just kind of, wow. But they're not able to contribute to that conversation because they haven't read books about that. They haven't sat and thought about it because they were reading a book about it. There's a lot of power in that. So it makes you, to me, a better person, potentially, and 100% a more interesting person, especially if you're reading the right books. You're reading books that make you better as a person. Not all readers are leaders, but all leaders are readers. And I've known leaders who weren't readers, and you could tell they didn't have the skill set. They didn't have the knowledge to really, truly be that excellent leader. And I've had a couple. I've had one recently who's a huge reader, actually a couple recently, and they're big readers. You can tell they can have these conversations, and it's really interesting. They will read a book and they're able to apply it to either their leading or their work habits and become better at what they do. And then they turn around and say, hey, look, this is what I'm doing and this is why, and it's really helped me. And then I'm able to take those and apply them to what I do at work, and it has made me better. And so I really think, if you want to be a leader, if that's something you want to be, and as a young man, you should want to be a leader. You should want to be a leader within your community and at work, and especially within your family. To do that, you need to read. You need to read books about how to deal with your anger management, or how to deal with maybe you procrastinate. So read a book about how to get better about that. Read books about how to wake up early and work out and be a productive member of society. Read books about how to lead people. How do you lead people? Well, there's people who have researched it for years and decades, and they put it into a 300-page book that you can read in a month. Take advantage of that. If you are not taking advantage of that, you are really, truly missing out. Reading is essential for those who seek to rise above the ordinary. Reading is one of the easiest ways to me where you can rise above being an ordinary person. Get a library card. Once you know how to read, get a library card, and then it's really up to you. How much time do you want to put into this? What are you willing to do? And if you're willing to go and sit and read books, you will rise above being ordinary, especially, like I said, if you're reading those self-help, self-improvement type books. If we encounter a man of rare intellect, we should ask him what books he reads. And there's a guy at work that's like that. I find him really interesting. Every time I talk to him, we have the most interesting conversations, and he's really able to kind of delve into a lot of different things. And when we're talking about something, especially when I feel like I really know about it, he a lot of times is able to kind of approach it from a different angle, because he will have read something and he'll say, oh, this kind of reminds me of this thing I read, and then he'll start talking about it. I'm like, oh, I haven't thought about that before. I haven't thought about that angle or that way of looking at this. And I would say he is a man of rare intellect. And I do ask him what books he reads, because he's given me the best book recommendations. And I read those books and I find myself writing in them and taking notes, and I find myself thinking in ways I never have before. And that's the power of books. That is the power of reading, is you can really, truly learn. You can change what you think about things. You can learn about things you would have otherwise never learned about. I don't have the time, and I shouldn't say I don't have the time, but I am not going to go research one topic for a decade. It's not going to happen. But I can go read the book that the guy wrote. I can read his book, and then he will teach me what he learned and what took him 10 years of research to figure out. And I can gain that knowledge. And again, there's a real power in that. So if you are not reading, you are missing out. And I highly encourage you to start reading and make it a daily habit, something you do every single day. Every day, pick up a book and read. And what I will say is, if you like fiction, that's great, and read fiction. It's a great hobby. I read a ton of fiction, but you need to read those books that are going to improve you as a person. So I went to a website, healthline.com, and I put the link there at the bottom. Just some easy, quick benefits of reading. So not only will it make you more interesting, I think it'll make you a better person, but if you don't believe me, here are some of the potential benefits. Strengthens your brain, increases your ability to empathize, builds your vocabulary, so when you're speaking, you're able to use those larger words, and not necessarily big words, but sometimes increasing your vocabulary means you can use the word you really mean. You know, like if you're trying to express something and you only know one way of expressing it, well, that word may not exactly say the thing you're trying to say. Build that vocabulary and you'll be able to find that word and you'll be able to use it. Helps prevent age-related cognitive decline. That's a mouthful. So it keeps your brain active as you get older, and that's super important. Maybe that helps you as you get older with Alzheimer's or just being engaged as an older person, and that's important. I want to be engaged. You know, I want to know who I am as I get older, and reading will help you do that. Reduce stress, prepares you for a good night's rest. I think reading at night also, that's really good. Helps alleviate depression symptoms and may even help you live longer. So all those from healthline.com, you can go check that article out. Pretty interesting read, and it just gives all those benefits. And as you're reading it, you're like, man, this is legit. Not only will it make me more interesting and improve me as a person, but there's even like literally potential health benefits. Thanks as always for listening. We'll really appreciate it. Please like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe if you have not already. Thank you.